I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land, where we take a look at your top stories every Monday to Thursday. And I received a few messages yesterday talking about how bundled up I was looking. It is freezing and cold here in Israel. It has been for the last couple of days as Storm Barbara batters parts of the country. And it's quite something, because a couple of days ago we were complaining that this is the driest winter in 60 years. Goes to show we really don't have much to complain about. We begin our top stories with an update on Operation Olive Branch. This is the name that we have given the operation of Israel's extended aid to help Turkey and Syria in the aftermath of two deadly earthquakes. The death toll at the last count was well over 11,000. Now, we've been speaking about the IDF Elite Search and Rescue, about 130 of them who are on the ground working 24/7 to try and rescue as many people as possible, and also sadly recover as many bodies so that they can be given a proper burial. The IDF search and rescue personnel to date have found 4 people alive in the rubble, including a 23-year-old woman and a little boy. ICL, which is a search and rescue team that operate in and around the Dead Sea area, also recovered a woman alive late yesterday. Now, yesterday we also mentioned that Israel may set up field hospitals, but this would be at the request of the Turkish government. I also want to reiterate that any of the rescue services operating on the ground are there at the invitation and at the request of the Turkish government. And Israel was one of the first countries, if not the first, to respond with an offer to help. Other countries such as the United Arab Emirates and China have offered financial aid. And what was quite interesting to see circulating on social media was Iranian aid planes and Israeli aid planes landing and being parked together on the tarmac. That is a sight you won't often see. Nevertheless, about 250 troops and medical personnel, including possibly representatives from Magen David Adom, are scheduled to leave for Turkey today. They will set up a field hospital. Meanwhile, Turkey's chief rabbi has appealed for prayers, an appeal that has been echoed by His Holiness the Pope, who has asked for prayers for Syria and for Turkey during this very, very stressful and traumatic time. Now, Syria has reached out to the European Union and asked for aid there. Many people have asked, how is Israel getting our aid to Syria? The EU Commissioner representatives based in Israel wouldn't respond to that, but it is believed that Israel is getting our aid either through the United Nations or even possibly Russia. Now, on the subject of talking about countries in Eastern Europe, I've just mentioned Russia. The relations between Israel and Poland have been strained over the last year or so. And this is largely due to a law that was passed in the Polish parliament, which would see the end of restitution to Holocaust survivors and their descendants. Now, when this law was passed, then Foreign Minister Yair Lapid withdrew Israel's ambassador in protest, and ties between the two countries remained quite tense. However, yesterday, Foreign Minister Eli Cohen spoke with his Polish counterpart, Foreign Minister Rau. The call was very, very warm. They agreed to extend full bilateral relations, and Poland said that they will name an ambassador to Israel relatively soon. They also discussed resuming the important student youth groups or student youth tours that many Israeli youth undertake to visit the Nazi death camps in Poland. So we look forward to relations between Israel and this very, very important European ally significantly warming up. Hundreds of IDF reservists and veterans are scheduled to start a 3-day march from Latrun, which is quite close to where I am in Modi'in, to Jerusalem. They plan on marching about 8 kilometers a day, and the march is in protest to the planned judicial overhauls. Yesterday, the organizers of the massive protests that have been taking place every Saturday night have said that this coming week the protests will move to outside the Knesset on Monday afternoon, and they expect as many Israelis as possible to voice their disagreement with the planned overhauls to the Supreme Court. The Knesset is expected to start voting on how they institute these overhauls on Monday. Now, adding to the voice of discontent is not just the high-tech industry that protested yesterday, but legal advisors have signed a massive letter saying that any proposed overhaul to the Supreme Court severely harms Israeli democracy. And finally, an Israel brief would not be complete either without some positive news or without me getting on my soapbox. So today we're going for the soapbox option. And just when we thought Kanye had shut up, we now have Joe Rogan to deal with. Yesterday, the podcast phenomenon trying to defend Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman being kicked out of the Foreign Affairs Committee, said that it's ridiculous to say that Jews aren't interested in money. He said he was referring to her comment about it's all about the Benjamins, which of course is an anti-Semitic trope. He went on to defend his comment by saying that Jews aren't all about the money is like saying Italians aren't all about the pizza. Well, Joe Rogan, you seem to be very happy to accept $200 million from Spotify for your podcast. And just a reminder, good intentions do not pay the bills. But while we're talking about repugnant anti-Semitic tropes, nobody's throwing little bits of pizza on the ground for Italian children to pick up. Nobody is murdering other people over anti-Semitic tropes like they are doing for us. Nobody is accusing us of trying to run the world and buy our privilege around the world with money. Nobody is trotting out these ugly money-related anti-Semitic tropes that result in members of your community getting beaten up, held hostage, murdered in their house of prayer, and the most targeted group in the world as far as discrimination and persecution, a statistic that is not just in the United States, but in Europe and other parts of the world as well. So, Joe Rogan, I know you don't read the comments on your social media, which is quite ironic from somebody who is all about free speech and saying whatever he wants to, but maybe you want to take this little message from the Israel brief. Your comments about Jews and money were repugnant and anti-Semitic, and no justification is going to change that fact. You might want to take that to the bank. And that brings us to the end of not just my rant, but also our headlines for the day. Don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook page at Lottel Site. We've been covering some of Operation Olive Branch. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. Please click on the subscribe button. It's that big red button. Our Twitter feed, you can find us at Lay of the Land 5. And you'll find me again tomorrow. I'm a slightly nasal and full of a cold, really, marks. But don't forget to join me tomorrow for your headlines.